Hi, everyone. How are you doing? Rhonda's going to do an intro right now.
Welcome back to the Successful Survivors Podcast. We are survivors. We're here for you. If you have survived childhood trauma, we are your tribe. So today we're going to talk about our personality traits and how those personality traits get us through and help us survive and help us thrive. So today we have Diana Mosher and we have Don Windle and we have Lee Esau. And Diana, take it away, baby.
I have excitedly volunteered for this particular podcast because, here's the thing. On a serious note, I think one thing about Successful Survivors, what we do is we adapt like a chameleon does, right? Whatever environment you are in, you are a chameleon. I know with everything I do, whether I am with a group of salespeople, I'm with maybe Jeff's conference and I'm meeting new people, my husband's new people, I have to adapt to whoever I'm around, right? So I might need to incorporate some humor in that, which is my favorite go-to because especially if I'm talking about hard things. If I'm talking about hard things, I always throw that humor in there because, and I think it's my default. I don't want to make anyone else feel bad about the particular subject matter I might be talking about. So I want to make sure everybody feels comfy, cozy. Hey, let's throw some humor in there. Yeah, it was crazy, but you know what I did? Check me out. I got this win and, I foiled the crime. I can do all those things and make it sound funny. And then everybody knows what I'm talking about. But things like being a good leader in a situation where I'm, most of I'm a realtor. And when I am out and about and I'm meeting new clients, I might have a situation where they need to relocate for serious reasons, right? They might have a domestic situation in there and they need to really relocate quickly. And so if I'm helping them with that, I have to be a good listener. And so I incorporate the good listening skills. I incorporate the good leadership skills because I want to lead them to their next safe place where they can land. And I want to make sure to listen with my empathetic, I call it my gut, because my gut helps me, more times than not, I just absorb everything, right? I think we talked about what empathy does. We kind of absorb everything. But I think it's still a good trait because then I get to identify with the people that I'm talking to. And I think that really helps. And I know that I have had several clients, we've talked about it on different podcasts that we've done where, I meet them and then 15 minutes later, we're standing in the rain talking about their situation for like 30 minutes. Right. But I think it's a really good trait. And so I think with humor, being a leader, being empathetic, incorporating the funny, and even being, let's see, what is the good listener and an advocate. Ooh, Rhonda, the particular situation that I'm talking about where I had to be a really good advocate for my client where she had a situation, she found her fiance happened to be inappropriate with her daughters. And I called you right away and I'm like, what do I do? What do I need to do here? And then her and I just, fought. And it ended up really, in her favor and it was really, really good. But I incorporated all of those things. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hard workers. The other thing, 7, I think. So I try and do all those things. And Rhonda, I know you are advocate on fire. So I want to hear a couple of things about you. What are your favorite that you would say your go-to traits are, if you have any, that you go to when you're around people, new people?
Yeah. So automatically, I think of all the things that I do wrong. Like I can put not just one foot in my mouth. I can just get both feet in my mouth. I can screw up so bad. I'm so socially awkward. And tone deaf about, a lot of times about my surroundings and people around me and what they're going through. I do have empathy and I do absorb everybody's pain. But as far as the whole like politically correct thing and saying the right thing in the right place or whatever, not so much. But on the positive side, I don't want to be completely negative, but on the positive side, I am resourceful, and I try to see the best in everybody. I try to see the best in every situation. And so I think about, a lot of the successful survivors that I've known, and I've had a lot of people through the years say, well, you're just too optimistic, and you just always just like sugarcoat everything, like you just gloss over, and you're not looking at the truth. And I think to myself, okay, well, I have a choice. We all have a choice. Mm-hmm. Look at our circumstances and say, ooh, poor me. This is awful. I don't know if it's ever going to get better. Or we can say, you know what? I am going to do my best. I'm going to show up. I'm going to learn. I'm going to learn from everybody. The good people in my life and the not so good people, I'm going to learn from them how not to be. And I'm going to do my best. I'm going to show up, and I'm going to always try to do good for everybody else. And I'm just going to believe that somehow, some way, that's going to raise me up, and that's going to improve the circumstances. So I'm not going to apologize for my optimistic nature. If things are not going well, I say they're not going well yet.
But I like that.
It's a new day, So anyway, what about you, Lee?
So it was very interesting. I was writing down the word optimistic as you began to share about the optimism, because I often too am referred to as, that I'm not always based in reality.
Pollyanna.
And some of that is true, but that's part of the coping skills of survival, right? If your only coping skills is to look at the doom and gloom, it's really hard to ever feel like you can move forward, because all you see are the mistakes that you made that put you in a situation sometimes that perpetuated the negative outcomes, right? And so I too am very optimistic. That's just a core part of my being. As somebody who believes that there is a God and that He loves us deeply, I cannot go to the world of negativism. My core will not let me go there. Diana, you touched a little bit on leadership, and that is something that at a different time in a different podcast, I'd really like to explore more with you guys. I think a lot of times we assume people know what leadership is. We just know. We're like, oh, we throw out the term leadership, and everybody's like, yep, that's a leader, or that. But I don't think we really dive into what does leadership look like. And I think it has a lot of different facets to it. So, but that's for a different time. But I think that feeling confident in that role helps you navigate moving forward and keeping a positive trajectory. One of the things that I'm working on in my work world as a director of a statewide organization, I sat down yesterday with my associate director, and we just went through the things that I'm good at and I like, the things I am good at but don't like, the things I don't like but I'm good at, and just the things I hate. And what that exercise really did, as we're talking about just survival, is it really pointed out the things that are very natural to me are the things that I like and I'm good at. But the things that the world judges me by are the things I'm not good at and I hate. And so as an organization, we're looking at how do I find my worth apart from what the world sees and judges us by, especially in a work environment. So when you're talking about how do successful survivors survive, what are the traits that they need? Adaptability, obviously. I thought that was an awesome point of view. Diana, and I think you're right. We do tend to become chameleons to the environment we're in. But I think learning is also an incredibly important aspect of the survival and the successful survival of moving past, trauma. We have to be willing to learn different ways of moving forward. We can't, while we rely on instinctual things, whether that is learning to blend into our environment, whether that is never having our back to the front door of a restaurant or whatever that might be, right? Those are instinctual things to us. But I think it's also moving past those things that are instinctual to us, and letting in some things that might feel uncomfortable or even scary to us. Because as we learn in how to take in those pieces of information, it moves us past our comfort zone for sure, but it also, we're learning in a healthy way, right? Where sometimes, like, the things that are on my hate, don't do well, don't like to do list are things I've learned that that's what the expectation is, but I haven't learned in a healthy way. There are still going to be things that this job requires me to do that I don't like and I'm not very good at. But by taking the time to learn how to do the best I can and remove some of the stigma I have placed on that, will only help me become a more successful survivor.
Wow.
That was a lot of talking. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, it was the wow on the, okay, you don't see, I have a remarkable tablet here and, and I'm writing notes. So when I'm looking down, please know I'm not being rude. The one thing you said to me that just, I went, boom, I do it all the time, is the having your back to the door at the restaurant. I never have my back. It does not matter where I'm at. My back is never to an exit area of any, I need to be, able to see. I want to know what's coming at all times. Mm-hmm. And that's just, a lot of my law enforcement friends they do the same thing. Every single time I've ever gone to lunch or with clients that are in law enforcement, they always say the same thing.
You have to get there early, Diana. So you get, I have the same thing. When you go to lunch with or dinner with people who also want their back against the wall, you have to arrive early. So
that's fact. Or you got to go, hey, listen, I'm going to need you to move.
Also, what I've done is I have to have my back too. But if I trust the person that I'm having lunch with or whatever, then I'm like, okay, Dawn, I can't have it because they need it too, right? So I'm like, all right, Dawn, let them have it. I know I can trust them. They're going to tell me what's coming.
Oh, that's
side note. I don't have that particular mechanism, but every place I go when I'm in a public setting, I am scouting the room to see who's going to take charge. And if I don't see anybody that I feel is competent, or has the ability to take charge, then I'm in the back of my mind all thinking the whole time I'm there, okay, what will I do to keep these people safe or move them forward or whatever we need to do, right? So yeah, it's kind of a weird thing.
Well, I'm sure everybody here has heard of Cook's Corner in New Rhonda, being out here, Cook's Corner, and the tragedy that happened in Cook's Corner with the shooting. That was just recently in our own backyard. I mean, this is it's a biker bar restaurant, but every Wednesday is family night. So it's spaghetti night. Every Wednesday, you're taking your kids there. Everybody, my friend takes her grandchildren there. And so My stepson, Justin, he works for OCFA, and he actually he responded. He was one of the 70 units that responded to that. And he said, everybody watches the movies, and in the movies you see when these things kind of happen and what it looks like. He said it was nothing like the movies. He said it was just keys, phones, just things everywhere, just like everybody just scattered and such. And I won't go too deep into that, but it's interesting how in that moment people were, calling 911 and they were hiding and trying to get away, which was their survival instinct, right? People ran it across the street into the woods. They didn't come out for hours, by the way. It was like hours later, people were walking out. And it was part of that survival thing. And I could picture in my head, I was asking my husband, I'm like, okay, if we were in that same situation, like, I don't even know what we would, what would we do? He goes, when we walk in, we do what we always do. We kind of look around. Where's the nearest exit? You like in your head, you like, where's the nearest exit? What do we do? How do we get there? And you're just assessing. He does it in the movie theater. He does it every single place we go. It's just, and I can't remember the acronym he has, but that he talks about. You might know it, Rhonda. I'm not sure, but it's.
I'm drawing a blank.
I am too. But anyhow, I digress. I wanted to get to Dawn. Dawn always has some really insightful things. What you got, Dawn?
I don't know about that, but I'm going to try. So you kind of touched on too, Ali, about doing something that's scary and uncomfortable. I've recently noticed that I struggle with newness, but I don't shy away from it anymore. I used to like, oh, hey, if it's new, I'll pass. Maybe I'll go scope it out a couple days ahead of time next time, and maybe I'll come. But I don't do that anymore. I noticed that with my new job that I started about a couple months ago. I was like, wow, I just kind of put both feet into this, and here we go. Okay, and had my coping skills, and I still struggled a little bit, but not near as bad as I thought I was going to. And I didn't realize how scared I was until I started using some of my coping skills. I'm like, oh yeah, good thing I used these because I needed them. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about was empathetic. I know you touched on that too, Diana. I definitely feel all the feels when I talk to people. But over the last few years or so, I've learned that they need us to feel it, but not join them.
Right.
We can feel them. We can feel the compassion, but they need us to be strong. And in order to do that, some of the questions I ask myself is, okay, what do they need in this moment? How can I help them that is going to be loving and kind? And what do I need to say to them that they need to hear? Not just what they want to hear, but what they need to hear, and do it in a loving way. I've just in the last few years learned how to do that, because I would join them. I'd be bawling my eyes out too, and like, this is not helpful, but I don't know what else to do. And I thought it was helpful to me to cry with them. No, it's not. I think in some instances I've also learned crying a little bit with them, having a little bit of tears is okay. But if you're sobbing along with them, it's not helpful. It's not helpful.
Yeah.
It
keeps you stuck.
It's like, here, hand me a tissue. I need the whole box. Thank you. So, and then also learning that being empathetic with people that are easy, right? They're wanting to share with you. They're wanting to talk to you. They're kind. But the other people that are prickly and you have to work with them, and they just don't seem to get it. And you kind of try to talk with them about, hey, let's find some common ground, because here's how I'm feeling. How are you feeling? And they're just not doing it, not trying. And I'm trying. And I'm like, am I not trying? And they're trying. And it's the other way around. No, I know I'm trying. So part of me, I've just learned literally in the last couple of weeks, because work has been rough. I'm like, okay, God, what does she need? What can I give her that she needs? She needs my strength. She needs my role modeling, right? Sometimes just not saying anything at all and just doing really does help. And that's something that I did learn. Actually, yes, I did learn that in childhood. I just did. And then somehow I got to where I was mouthier, and then I forgot the do action part, right? So I'm going back to the action part, but I'm doing it in a healthy way. I'm going, how can I be healthy for this person and for my own sanity? Because
you know what that is? That's leadership. That's being an advocate. That's being protective. Like those are the traits that you're pulling from, not just the empathetic trait.
Yeah.
Right, Rhonda? Would you say?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I look to you for the expert on the character traits.
Oh, well, I'm kind of, I think I took a detour. Like you were going like this and I went off this way when you said what you did about feel but not join others in their pain.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is truly a successful survivor thing. And I've been criticized for it. I mean, publicly criticized for it. So a friend of mine who is a fairly well-known psychologist told me, you don't show enough empathy. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, wait a minute. I'm the one who, like, my heart clenches and beats out of my chest. My stomach twists in knots. When I'm with somebody and they're in their pain and they're telling me about what's happened to them and they're raw and like they're bleeding. They're trying to just process it in the moment. I do much better with people whose pain was 20 years ago. So that's why I can't be a therapist because my body automatically reacts. I
Right.
might not look like it because I'm not really the person who just breaks out and starts bawling, but inside I'm gonna just like if I had to really do that for a living, I would probably just drop dead on the job one day because my whole body would say, "That's enough," and just pass. So when this person said, you don't have any empathy. You don't join people in their pain. Her whole thing was you're supposed to join people in their pain. And I said, I worked my way out of that pain.
Mm-hmm.
I know the way out. I will show you the way out. But if I get down into the depths of the well of despair that somebody is in,
You might not come back out.
right? Someone's got to pull you out. If I go in now, I have to try to, climb up out again. And I'm just too dang old for that now. She actually sent me a video, this psychologist. Maybe she's going to hear this and she's going to know who she is. I won't say her name. She's nationally known. She sent me a little cartoon video that Brene Brown put out about empathy. So there's this little, I don't know what these little characters are, if it's a little bunny rabbit or a bear, or it's somebody, but they're down in the hole and they're really sad and they're in the hole. And then I think maybe it's a bunny. And so then a bear comes along and they're like, "It's a great day in the neighborhood." And then they look in the hole and there's this sad person. And the bear goes, "Hey, you hungry? You want a sandwich?" And the little, they're dying down there. And my friend said, "You're the bear.
Wow.
You don't get into somebody's pain. You offer them a sandwich."
A Sammy.
A sandwich. And I'm like, well, they're probably hungry and they feel better if they.
I'm taking care of their immediate need, first of all.
Right? And so there's that optimism. There's that you are just too dang optimistic and you're too cheerful and you need to just like tone it on down and climb down into the. And I'm telling you that I spun around on that for probably over a year going, oh crap, I'm not doing it right. I'm not doing life right. I'm not helping other survivors like I should because, after all, she has a PhD. I got a PhD in hard knock life. So I'm obviously wrong. And then I finally realized, you know what? Okay, you be you, climb down into the hole, cry your eyes out. I'll be up the top with a rope when you're ready.
And a Sammy.
You with a sandwich and a can of blackberry lemonade water. And I will help you when you're really ready to help yourself and climb up out. And that's how you become a successful survivor. But if we all get down into the daggone hole, Ms. Brene Brown, I'm sorry. How are we going to help anybody? How are we going to self-actualize? How are we going to really heal? How are we going to be leaders? How are we going to adapt to anything if we expect the whole entire world to just adapt to us and get down into the pain with us? And don't get me wrong, I love the people who just meet you where you are and sit with you during hard times. Love that. That's not me. And I just realized it's okay to be me. And Dawn, it's okay to be you. Lee, it's okay to be you. Diane, it's okay to be you. Like, we don't all have to try to be like each other. We can actually embrace who we are. And I guess I just wanted to, the last thing I want to say about that is just to say, I want to encourage everybody, think about what you've been criticized for. I've been criticized for being too optimistic. I've been criticized for being too cheerful. I've been criticized for being helpful when people aren't ready for help. I actually happen to think those are my 3 best things. And I'm just going to go ahead and be who God made me to be. So if you've been criticized for, I don't know, like nagging, I hear that a lot. Oh, you're just such a nag. Oh, you just go on and on and on. And I think, okay, that's tenacity. Go on with your bad self and be tenacious because that's probably the way God made you to be. So we can, file down the rough edges maybe and not
round the corners,
maybe not be quite so obnoxious. I try not to be so obnoxious, but you know what? I'm not for everybody. All 7 billion people on earth will never like me. I'm good with it. So if we are all just good with who we are and can accept ourselves, try to improve where we need to improve. But like you said, Lee, about, okay, there's things that you don't like to do or things that you actually hate doing. Okay. When I started my business, I was terrible at this. I was terrible at that. Okay. Hire people. Find people in your life who come alongside and they're good at what you're not good at. But when we work really hard to change ourselves and conform to everybody, and we can because we're very good. Like you said, Diana, you started out talking about how we can adapt. I can roll, I grew up around gangs. I can roll with the gang and I can roll into the governor's mansion and have a conversation there. So we adapt, but let's not conform.
Right. There's a definite difference. There's a definite difference. And one of the things I want to touch back on the well situation, because here's how I envision it. Because, I look at the whole, I start to like visualize, oh my gosh, I'm seeing, okay, Rhonda's this bear and I see the 2 little bunnies in the well and I'm visualizing the whole scene. But in my head, how I would approach that, because I meet them a little bit. And like, I would be the person leaning over, like in the well with the rope saying, here's the rope. Hey, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah. No, I get it. Totally get it. I got sandwich. I got lunch up here. Let's just get you out first. Let's do that and put you up here. I want to make sure, hey, listen, I hear you, I see you, I feel what you're feeling, I get it, but I'm going to help you out. But you got to take those steps. I think we've talked about several stories, right? That when people, they have a situation and then they're just like, my God, and I just don't know what to do. And so you give suggestions. Okay, well, you know what? I encourage you, maybe blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I guess I can't believe what happened. Can you believe what just, and then they keep going. And then you're going down this path. I'm like, okay, yeah. Okay, can you take 15 minutes and do all of that and then come back? Here's one of the things that I do, and it works for me with my grandchildren. They're all entitled to their feelings. They're little humans, right? They're little humans. I get it. One of the things that I have done with my grandchildren is when they get in their own way, right? They're fighting or they're upset about something super like over exaggerated upset, in my opinion. To them, it's all relative. They're very upset, and that their experience has shown this is the biggest thing. My doll's hair is wet and I don't know how to fix it, and the bangs aren't right or something, whatever. We fix the problem. Like, I'll do the suggestions. I talk to them about the suggestions and then help them through that. Well, if they still want to fight each other, I don't want to play anymore. I disengage. I'm like, you know what? Let me know when you're done with that. I'm over here with solutions, and I got you. I'm going to write down, let's get some snacks. We'll go to the park. We'll have some fun. Finish what you have to do. So sit in that for whatever period of time you have to. Let's get out and have some solutions. I swear it's not 30 seconds. Boom. Hey, let's go to the park. Hey, let's do it. Now they're out of it. But they have to learn how to do that on their own. I can give them tips. I can say, this is how I did it. This is whatever. Same with adults in life. Hey, I'm encouraging this. If you want to wallow in your thing, that's fine. I'm here to help you. Let me know when you're done.
Ooh, that's really cool.
Can I share an experience that just happened this week at the foster haven?
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who may not know, the organization I run, we work with our local DHHS department to provide a 24/7 soft landing place for youth who are having to enter foster care. And I believe it was Thursday evening, we had a little 9-year-old girl that the whole situation just escalated within a 24-hour time frame. And she had already been living with grandparents. And so when DHHS got involved, she was just sobbing, as would be appropriate for a little 9-year-old, and very distraught. And they brought her over to the Haven. And within 10 seconds of walking into the Haven atmosphere, she stopped crying. She was ready to eat. She loved shopping for her clothes. She smiled and laughed the rest of the time. Her bio mom made a phone call to her, and even through that phone call, she never lost her composure. And the case manager made a point to let our team know, because they said, you would not have believed this was the same youth we had been working with, an hour before arriving here. Because one of our staff members said, wow, she seems to be doing very well. And they're like, you have no idea what she was doing prior to this coming here. And I share that story because I think it is so important that what we want people to have or believe or experience, we have to be intentional about providing. And so as we're talking about how, did I freeze?
Yes, you froze, but I didn't want to say anything because it sounded so good.
Okay, well,
you're still frozen.
Yeah. I know, but you can hear me, so that's fine.
Yeah.
We have to be intentional about providing that to those we want to pull up out of the well. So I've been criticized by my own team here with I did the DISC assessment. Our whole team does that. And mine came back IDC. And I had a team member who constantly said, it stands for I don't care. And I'm like, but I do care. I'm just not going to let people live in their most painful moments. I choose, like Rhonda, I choose to believe that this is just a moment in time, that you're gaining experience that's going to be important to you for your lifelong journey. It isn't where you're meant to stay. And so I probably am textbook when it comes to the whole tough love parenting type of person. Like you, Diana, were sharing earlier, I believe my kids learn best when they learn the lessons themselves. And my son had that experience last night. He went to a football game. He forgot to take his student ID. And guess what happened? He had to have someone get a hold of us to tell us to come pick him up because he couldn't get into the football game, even though he had a teacher there vouching for him. And I made the comment, I said, I bet he won't miss two. And the teacher kind of looked at me like, whoa. But Bobby knew exactly what I was talking about. And he was like, yep, I don't think I'll forget my ID again. So as we've been talking about traits, I think that one of the best traits we have to offer most of the people we're working with, it is that we do believe that there's something more. One of the things I stress a lot is when we're working with our foster care population, we do not show pity. We do not pity these kids. We don't feel sorry for them. We love them right where they're at, and we offer them hope, because in that moment, they definitely do not feel a lot of hope.
I love that you said that. And that you said, we believe there's something more, because we've been and we've seen that there's something more. So where they're at and whatever depths they're going through and the deepest part of their pain, we've had deep parts of pain and we've come out. So we know we kind of can guide them. Like you said, Rhonda, listen, I'm here to show you that I can do it. I can show you, I can encourage, I can show you the path I took, and you can make your own or whatever. But I know I can get you there if you just kind of go. You were going to say something, Dawn. I feel it.
I think we want to move past the well, but can I say one more thing?
Yes.
I can totally see you, Rhonda, sitting there, and not standing, but sitting. Like, hey, I got you a sandwich. I'm going to drop it down to you. Tell me a little bit about your story. Okay, that's enough details. Let's go.
Yes.
Right? Yes. So you're going to hear them. You're going to hear them. You're not going to just drop the sandwich and say, hey, peace out. See you later. You're going to listen to people's stories because you do it already. You have, hey, I'm going to read your book. Let me help you. Right? And half the time it's about our life stories, right? You want to hear those stories so you can help us pull out the lessons that we've learned from them so that we can be better and help other people. You already do the empathetic part. It just looks different.
That's why I completely disagree with her assessment of what she said to you. And I hope well, obviously I think you kind of sat in it for a minute when she said it, but you realize now that no, because Dawn, you just said that perfectly, because that's exactly what she'd do. She'd sit down. Okay, what you got? And she'd go like this. She let me know. Here, have a bite to eat. Here's a tissue. Okay, we good? I got a rope here. Let's go. Right? I mean,
I think that's what a lot of us do, us successful survivors. And I keep going back to it. You guys are probably tired of hearing it, but I just keep thinking, okay, this is the difference between somebody who's lived through it and somebody who learned everything that they know about it in a book or a university classroom or whatever. Lived experience. I'm telling you, it's huge, because there's a lot of people. That video that I mentioned to you, it probably has 10 million hits. I mean, it has a gajillion hits. And so when I saw it and I saw, oh, it's by this Brene Brown and she's written these books and I don't really know her story. I don't know. Somebody told me that her whole platform was sort of based on vulnerability, that she came out as having been an alcoholic and now she's a recovering alcoholic or whatever her story. I don't even know. But it's not about her. It's just about how it's so interesting to me that so many of us come out of childhood trauma feeling wrong or feeling broken or feeling like, okay, well, I don't know. I was raised by apes in the jungle. I really don't know how to do anything. So then you see a video that has 10 million hits and it's by somebody who has doctor in front of their name.
All the initials.
You must know everything. I know nothing. I am, too stupid and too ignorant to actually know anything. So I'm just going to buy into this whole thing because look, 10 million other people bought into it. So it must be true. No, not necessarily. And that's where I am with. And it's not about Brene Brown. Don't sue me, Dr. Brene Brown. I'm sure you're helping a lot of people. But for me, I mean, it's kind of like when Rick Warren came out with The Purpose-Driven Life. I don't know, 8 people gave me that book and they're like, ooh, you're going to love this because you are so purposeful. You're so purpose-driven. Your whole life is driven around your purpose. You're going to love it. I kept, all these people are giving me these books. I had them stacked up on the corner of my desk and I went to read it. And I don't know, I didn't get very far into it when it said something about like, oh, God loved watching you, as a child and God just loved you. And I literally chucked that book. It hit the wall. One of my employees came in like, oh, is everything okay in here? Like, because I'm like, oh, really? God loved watching me get the stuffing beat out of me? God loved watching me get burned? BS, another book that has no clue about those of us who have gone through crap-a-rula. And so, but it turns out, I am very purposeful, and there's nothing wrong with Rick Warren's book, and there's nothing wrong with Rick Warren, the Saddleback Church. God bless him. God love him. I just didn't happen to be the demographic, right, that book was written for. And, and so every book in the world and every psychologist and every, it's not like, it's not for everybody in the world. So, if you talk to a therapist and the therapist, I don't know, you didn't feel right or whatever, it's not you. Find somebody who does work for you. Keep talking to different people. Keep reading different books. Keep looking at different theories instead of thinking that for survivors. Now, I'm speaking directly to survivors. Instead of thinking, I must be wrong. Mm-hmm. How about, no, you know what? I'm entitled to my opinion and my perspective based on where I've been. You are the world's foremost expert on you and what you've been through. And sometimes we get our wiring tangled, but so it's important to keep trying and keep connecting with people and, find somebody to talk to. Maybe it's a pastor, maybe it's whatever, but my experience is just because people have the initials after their name doesn't mean that their perspective or their opinion is the right one for me.
Mm-hmm. I think you nailed it. I mean, honestly, this has been an amazing podcast. Lots of good stuff.
We do say so ourselves.
Hey, I'm just saying, since I volunteered to lead and all, I think we did pretty darn good.
I think you're right. And I think that I want to say to everybody who's listening, each of us gets to say, I am, and then choose the words that come after that. Without hesitation, without apology, without embarrassment, without shame. I am a survivor of childhood trauma. I am optimistic. Why? Because an average of 4 children every single day die in the United States at the hands of their caregivers. You are listening to this now. Each of us here, we're here. We survived. And it's profoundly sad for the ones who don't. But for us who do, we're stronger than the average person. We're more resilient. We're more resourceful. We will figure out how to survive everything that ever comes our way. So we're strong and we're tenacious and we're determined. And I hope that everybody starts to say, I am, and fill in that blank with everything that you think is good about you, whether somebody's criticized it, whether somebody puts you down for it or whatever. You be you, doggone it. You're the only one. You're like Tigger. I don't know if anybody even knows my Winnie the Pooh reference, but Tigger is the only one. Let's each be who we are without apology.
Be Tigger, not Eeyore. That's right.
Not Eeyore.
Not Eeyore. And Dawn, I know you wanted to say one last thing. What you got?
I was going to say, since we're kind of talking to people now, I wanted to say to all of you that even if you have a characteristic and it's negative, it's never too late to turn it around for positive. That characteristic is there to help you grow, like enthusiastic or extroverted. I didn't get to talk about that, but really quick, I wasn't extroverted as a child. You would have never known that I had extrovertness in me at all. But as I got going in life later and learned that I can be me and I can be funny and I can be all this and I love talking to people, I was like, wow, I'm an extrovert. I'm not an introvert. But so I turned it around. And yeah, it took a hot minute for me to, settle down and be in the middle with it, not on either end, right? But you don't have to stay where you're at. And that's what successful survivors is about, is that we're helping you get those coping skills, gain knowledge so that you can turn your life around. The things that you don't like about yourself, you can turn around. And if you don't know how to, listen to our podcast, read, talk to somebody like how Rhonda's been saying, and have hope. Continue to have hope.
Oh, that's really good. I'm so glad you said that, Dawn, because I want people to be who they are, but I want them to be the best version. I want all of us to be the best version of ourselves that we can. Like if you happen to be hurting and miserable and broken and in despair, don't stay there. Like, don't just embrace that and be there.
Oh my gosh. It's you watch a lot of Winnie the Pooh. There's a lot of rhyming going on there.
Oh my gosh. What about you, Lee? What's your last thought for everybody who's listening?
Oh goodness. I was just listening to you guys. I didn't, obviously I agree with Dawn, and there's, as long as you have breath in your lungs, there's opportunity for you to make a change, make a difference, be brave, be all those things. And tomorrow will always have the opportunity to be better. It's what you decide to make of that.
As long as I'm breathing, I'm still in the game.
That's the one.
You know where I got that from, lady? I got that from you.
Isn't that something? To think that any of us could say something that means so much to somebody else that they go out and get a tattoo of it. When you shared that with me, Diana, I thought, okay, God has given me something to say that's meaningful. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, see,
Yeah.
now that makes me emotional. I can't leave a podcast without getting emotional.
He was earlier, so we're good. I got you. I'm right there with you.
Aw.
Well, take us on home, Diana.
Hey, you all said it. I don't even have anything else left. I just want to say thank you for everyone who has listened to this podcast. I hope you took a little bit of just even a tiny little nugget, whether it's, a character trait that you have that you want to hone yourself and maybe just help yourself get better, whether it's, being a little more empathetic, maybe not getting so far in there and learning some encouraging words, or just knowing that you adapt to every environment that you are in as a survivor, and it's a good thing, and it's okay to do that. It's okay as long as, what did you say, Rhonda? As long as you don't conform, right? You stay positive. There's nothing wrong with being optimistic. I hope everybody enjoyed this podcast as much as I enjoyed hosting. Thank you.
You did a wonderful job. All right, everybody, check back with us next time.